When you allow others to disturb your inner peace, you are unconsciously giving away the power that belongs to you. Think about it for a moment. Peace is not something that people can hand you, nor is it something that can be taken without your permission. It is a state of being that lives within you, and the only way others can disrupt it is if you open the door and let them in. Protecting your peace means protecting your energy, your thoughts, and your emotional state with the same intensity that you would guard something priceless, because in truth, it is priceless. Without peace, your focus becomes scattered, your decisions are influenced by reactions rather than clarity, and your path gets derailed by distractions that were never yours to carry in the first place. When someone says something negative about you, when they try to provoke you, understand that the real test is not their words or actions but your response. Will you let their voice echo in your mind, or will you choose to silence it by refusing to engage? The moment you react in anger, frustration, or defensiveness, you hand them the control they were looking for. You validate their attempt to throw you off balance, but when you protect your peace by not reacting, you communicate strength without even speaking. You show them that your center is not so easily shaken. This is not weakness. It is power. It is the ability to master yourself regardless of the chaos outside of you. Many people walk through life allowing the opinions of others to dictate their mood, their confidence, even their sense of self-worth. One negative comment can ruin an entire day if you let it. But why give someone that much influence? Why hand over control of your well-being to someone who doesn't live your life, doesn't understand your journey, and doesn't pay the price for your sacrifices? When you protect your peace, you make the decision that your happiness and stability are not negotiable. You decide that no matter what noise comes from outside, the calm inside you remains untouched. Protecting your peace also requires awareness. You have to be conscious of the environments you put yourself in, the conversations you entertain, and the people you allow close to you. Some people thrive on conflict, on stirring emotions, on dragging others into their storms. If you are not careful, you will get pulled in without even realizing it. This is why you must become intentional about what you absorb. Every word, every action, every interaction is either adding to your peace or taking from it. Learn to recognize the difference quickly and set boundaries that shield your energy. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about keeping yourself safe from what harms you emotionally and mentally. There is strength in learning to walk away from arguments that don't serve you, in refusing to explain yourself to people who are determined not to understand you, in letting go of the need to respond to every provocation. Protecting your peace means being selective about where you invest your attention, because attention is power. Wherever your attention goes, your energy follows, and if you constantly allow it to be stolen by negativity, you drain yourself of the strength you need to pursue what really matters. When you begin to protect your peace, you realize that the battles you once fought are not worth fighting anymore. You stop trying to prove your worth to people who already made up their minds. You stop explaining yourself to those who are not listening. You stop replaying insults or disrespect in your head, because you understand that none of it defines who you are. Instead, you pour that energy into building yourself, nurturing your goals, and staying aligned with your purpose. And once you start doing this consistently, you notice something powerful happening. The things that used to bother you no longer carry the same weight, and the people who once controlled your emotions lose their grip entirely. You said, expend Keynote No. 2 on 600 word, and don't add any ending sentence, and not add any heading in this chat, GPT said. Criticism is often less about you and more about the person delivering it. When people throw negative comments your way, It is usually a reflection of what they feel about themselves, not a statement of truth about who you are. Think about it. If someone is confident, content, and fulfilled, they don't waste their time cutting others down. They lift people, they encourage, they inspire. But when someone is battling with their own insecurities, they look for places to project that pain, and you may become the target. Understanding this is crucial, because once you see that criticism is rooted in the other person's struggles, it loses its power to define you. When you face criticism, it is natural to feel the sting, because we are wired to want acceptance and validation. But the mistake comes when you confuse criticism with truth. Not everything that is said to you or about you deserves to be absorbed into your identity. If someone calls you incapable, it does not mean you are incapable. If someone questions your dream, it does not mean your dream is invalid. What it means is that their perspective is limited, clouded by their own fears or failures. And when you internalize their words, you are essentially adopting their insecurities as your own. That is why so many people never reach their potential. They start carrying the doubts that never belonged to them. Criticism often acts like a mirror. People reflect onto you the very things they cannot accept about themselves. If they failed in chasing a dream, they may tell you that your dream is unrealistic. If they feel insecure about their abilities, they may attack your skills. If they feel unseen, they may try to diminish your shine. None of this has anything to do with your truth. It is about their fear of facing their own limitations. And when you begin to see this pattern, you stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "What's going on inside of them?" This shift keeps you from taking their words personally and allows you to stand firm in your own confidence. At the same time, it's important to differentiate between destructive criticism and constructive feedback. Constructive feedback comes from a place of wanting to help you grow. It may be tough to hear, but it's rooted in care and respect. Destructive criticism, however, comes from a place of envy, insecurity, or resentment. Its only goal is to break you down. When you understand this difference, you stop treating all criticism as equal. You learn to take what helps you grow and discard what is meant to shrink you. Protecting yourself in this way ensures that you do not give unnecessary weight to voices that are not invested in your well-being. Criticism that reflects insecurity often shows itself in patterns. The same people who constantly judge, gossip, or nitpick are usually the ones who are unsatisfied with their own lives. They feel powerless, so they attempt to gain control by making others feel small. If you let this kind of behavior bother you, you fall into their trap. But when you recognize it for what it truly is, a symptom of their unhappiness, you stop giving it the ability to disrupt your self-belief. You begin to see that the negativity directed toward you is actually evidence of what they lack, not evidence of what you lack. It takes strength to remind yourself that you are not defined by someone else's projections. You are not the sum of their doubts or insults. You are not limited by their inability to see your potential. The louder the criticism gets, the more it should remind you of how deeply some people struggle with themselves. And instead of letting it sink into you, use it as fuel to keep moving forward. Let their doubts highlight the areas where you need to prove, not to them, but to yourself, that you are capable of far more than they can imagine. In doing so, you take what was meant to discourage you and turn it into a source of strength. You said, expend Keynote No 3 on 600 word, and don't add any ending sentence and not add any heading in this chat, GPT said. Truly successful people operate on a completely different frequency than those who spend their energy criticizing, gossiping, or tearing others down. When someone is genuinely focused on growth, building their future, and living with purpose, They simply don't have the time or the interest to dwell on what others are doing wrong. Their attention is consumed with their own goals, their own progress, and the next step forward. That is why when you encounter people who are constantly judging or mocking others, it is a clear sign they are not walking a path of true success. They are distracted, and instead of investing in themselves, they choose the easier route, diminishing others to feel a temporary sense of superiority. Look at the people you admire most, the leaders, innovators, creators, and change-makers. Do they waste energy criticizing every move others make? No. They understand that energy is valuable, and every moment spent tearing someone else down is a moment stolen from building themselves up. They choose discipline over drama, focus over pettiness, and progress over negativity. They know that success requires clarity and commitment, and they guard their mental and emotional energy like a treasure. When you keep this in mind, it becomes clear that the voices trying to bring you down are not the voices of those ahead of you. They are usually the voices of those who feel stuck behind. People who succeed learn to celebrate the wins of others instead of resenting them. They understand that another person's achievement does not diminish their own. In fact, it often inspires them to keep striving higher. Jealousy and criticism only slow a person down, but encouragement creates momentum. That is why when you encounter people who constantly pick apart your choices, your appearance, or your efforts, you can be sure they are not walking the road of fulfillment. If they were, they would be too busy elevating themselves to worry about what you are doing. When you start adopting the mindset of someone truly successful, you begin to see criticism differently. Instead of asking, "Why are they against me?" you start realizing they are projecting their own limitations. You stop measuring your worth through their opinions because you understand that those opinions come from a place of dissatisfaction within themselves. This shift gives you freedom. It allows you to detach from their negativity and stay centered on your own journey. The truth is, success is not just about reaching goals. It is about mastering your mind, choosing where your energy goes, and refusing to be dragged into conflicts that serve no purpose. It's also worth recognizing that people who have achieved real success often faced waves of criticism themselves. Every great thinker, entrepreneur, artist, or leader has been doubted, ridiculed, or opposed at some point. But they chose not to let those voices define them. Instead, they pressed forward, proving that the opinions of critics hold no power over someone who is determined. If they had listened to every insult or rejection, they would never have built what they did. Their strength came from recognizing that criticism is a companion of progress. The more visible you become, the more opinions people will have. The difference is, successful people don't waste time defending themselves. They let their results speak louder than any words. So, when you encounter negativity, remember this. If someone is investing their energy in tearing you down, it is because they are not busy building themselves up. Their criticism is not a sign of your failure, but of their distraction. Instead of being discouraged by it, use it as evidence that you are on a path worth noticing. The more you rise, the more noise you will hear, but the ones who are truly where you aspire to be are not the ones making that noise. They are the ones quietly building, quietly progressing, quietly winning, while leaving behind those who spend their lives criticizing instead of creating. You said, expend keynote no 4 on 600 word, and don't add any ending sentence, and not add any heading in this chat, GPT said. You will never be able to control what other people say about you, how they perceive you, or the judgments they form in their own minds. That is their territory, not yours. What you do control is what you allow into your mental and emotional space. Imagine a locked door. People can knock, shout, or even try to push their way in, but the only way they gain entry is if you open the door. Their words are like those knocks. They can come with force, they can echo loudly, but they only affect you if you invite them inside. This is why mastering the art of controlling what you let in is so essential. You cannot stop the external noise, but you can choose not to let it shape the way you think about yourself. Many people live in constant reaction to the opinions of others. A compliment lifts them, while an insult crushes them. This roller coaster of emotions creates instability because their identity is built on shifting ground. If you live like this, you'll find yourself constantly exhausted, trying to win approval or avoid disapproval. The truth is, peace comes when you detach yourself from the need to control external voices. You don't need to change what people say or think. You only need to change your relationship to it. The moment you stop giving their words access to your self-worth, you reclaim control. This doesn't mean you pretend not to hear the negativity or act as if it doesn't exist. It means you evaluate it with discernment. Not every voice deserves the same weight. If a stranger on the street criticizes your choices, does it truly hold meaning? If someone who has never walked in your shoes makes assumptions about your life, does their perspective really carry value? When you learn to ask these questions, you realize that most opinions don't belong in your personal space. You become selective about what you absorb, filtering out the noise so only what is useful and constructive remains. Controlling what you let in is also about breaking old habits. Sometimes the words that bother you the most are the ones that echo your own doubts. If deep down you question whether you're good enough, and someone criticizes your abilities, that comment cuts deeper because it aligns with your own insecurity. But when you do the inner work to strengthen your confidence, to believe in your worth regardless of external validation, those same words lose their power. What once pierced you now passes through you without sticking. You learn that the real battlefield is not in silencing critics, but in silencing the doubts inside yourself that give critics permission to matter. There will always be people who misunderstand you, who twist your intentions, who see only what they want to see. Their judgments may be unfair, but they are inevitable. The key is to stop fighting to change their perception and focus on maintaining your own truth. You don't control their narrative, you control your reality. You don't control their commentary, you control your focus. By refusing to internalize what is meant to break you, you keep your energy intact for what is meant to build you. Think of your mind as a garden. Every word you allow in becomes a seed. Some words plant doubt, fear, and resentment. Others plant strength, clarity, and resilience. If you let every voice scatter seeds, you'll soon have a tangled mess that drains your energy. But if you are intentional, if you filter and decide which seeds to allow, your mind becomes a place of growth rather than chaos. The more disciplined you become in protecting that space, the less power negativity has over you. This is not about ignoring reality, but about choosing your reality. It is about recognizing that your peace, confidence, and sense of self are too valuable to be handed over to careless words or shallow judgments. You said, expend keynote no 5 on 600 word, and don't add any ending sentence, and not add any heading in this chat, GPT said. Silence, calm, and persistence are some of the most powerful responses you can give when faced with negativity, criticism, or attempts to provoke you. Most people expect a reaction when they try to get under your skin. They expect anger, defensiveness, or an outburst that proves they were able to shake you. When you choose silence instead, you deny them that satisfaction. Silence is not weakness, it is restraint. It is proof that you are in control of yourself, not controlled by them. It shows that their words, their actions, and their opinions are not worth your voice. This unsettles people more than anything, because nothing frustrates someone trying to provoke you like your refusal to play the game. Calmness works in the same way. Calmness in the middle of chaos is a form of strength most people cannot master. Anyone can be calm when everything is going well, but to remain composed when someone insults you, disrespects you, or doubts you, that is power. Calmness communicates that you are unshaken, that you are not easily thrown off balance, that you have a level of self-mastery that others cannot penetrate. People may shout, criticize, or push for a reaction, but when you stay centered, they eventually realize their attempts are meaningless. Calmness is not passive, it is active control over your emotions, a conscious decision to protect your energy from being wasted on unworthy battles. Then there is persistence, the quiet revenge that outlasts every critic. Persistence means you keep moving forward regardless of the obstacles, regardless of the noise, regardless of how many people doubt you. While others talk, you build. While others criticize, you progress. While others laugh, you work. And eventually, persistence silences voices louder than any argument could. Nothing shuts down negativity more effectively than undeniable results. When you persist long enough, your growth becomes visible, your success becomes tangible, and your presence becomes undeniable. At that point, those who tried to bother you are left with nothing but their own empty words, while you stand firm in the reality you created. The combination of silence, calm, and persistence is a shield. Silence protects your dignity by refusing to lower yourself to unnecessary conflict. Calmness protects your peace by keeping you steady in the storm. Persistence protects your purpose by ensuring that no amount of distraction pulls you off your path. Together, they create a response that is stronger than any verbal counterattack, because the truth is, arguing with negativity rarely changes anything. People committed to misunderstanding you will not suddenly see your worth because you shouted louder. But when you choose silence, when you choose calm, and when you choose to keep pushing forward, you send a message louder than words, that you cannot be stopped. It is tempting to react when someone provokes you, to defend yourself when you feel attacked, to fight back when you are disrespected. But reaction often plays into their hands. It feeds their ego, it validates their attempt, and it drains your energy. Silence starves their ego. Calmness denies them control. Persistence leaves them behind, and in the end, you walk away stronger, freer, and more focused than before. You win not by proving yourself in the moment, but by proving yourself over time. Each day you stay consistent. Each step you take forward, each challenge you overcome quietly becomes your statement to the world. And there is no criticism, no insult, and no attempt to bother you that can compete with the strength of a life built through persistence. You said expend keynote no 6 on 600 word, and don't add any ending sentence, and not add any heading in this chat, GPT said. Every moment you spend being bothered by what others say or do is a moment stolen from your own growth, your own happiness, and your own goal. Time is the most valuable resource you will ever have, and once it is gone, you can never get it back. When you allow yourself to dwell on someone's criticism, when you replay their words in your head over and over, you are giving away minutes, hours, sometimes even days that could have been invested in building yourself. You are letting them rob you of progress. And the painful truth is that many people waste years of their lives being consumed by negativity that should have been ignored the moment it appeared. Think about how often people spend time crafting responses to insults, trying to explain themselves to those who are determined not to listen, or seeking approval from those who were never going to give it. All of that energy could have been directed toward growth, toward developing skills, pursuing dreams, improving health, deepening relationships, or simply enjoying life. Instead, it gets poured into battles that do not matter. The more time you spend being bothered, the less time you have to focus on creating the life you want. Every distraction comes with a cost, and the people who try to shake you are not paying that cost. You are. When you let go of what others think, you reclaim that time. You take the hours once wasted on overthinking and invest them in action. You begin to move forward faster because you are no longer carrying the weight of unnecessary concerns. The less you allow yourself to be bothered, the lighter you feel, and the more space you create for growth. Imagine how much you could accomplish if you redirected all the time you've ever spent worrying about opinions into consistent effort toward your own purpose. The truth is, many people never reach their potential not because they lack talent, but because they let distractions drain them of focus and momentum. Being unbothered is not about arrogance, it is about efficiency. It is about understanding that your energy is finite and it must be protected. Every conversation, every thought, every emotional reaction costs something. You cannot afford to give those costs away freely to people who have not earned a place in your life. Protecting your time means protecting your future. It means choosing to spend your hours on things that build you rather than things that break you down. You must ask yourself constantly, is this worth my energy? Is this worth my focus? Is this worth slowing down my progress? Most of the time, the answer will be no, and that no will set you free. The people who achieve greatness are not the ones who lived without criticism or opposition. They are the ones who refused to let it distract them. They learned that no matter how loud the world gets, their focus belongs to them. They guarded their time fiercely, directing it toward growth and refusing to waste it on being bothered. Their achievements are proof that success belongs to those who value their hours too much to give them away to negativity. Every time you choose not to be bothered, you are making an investment in yourself. You are planting seeds in your own future instead of watering the weeds of someone else's opinion. You are choosing to rise above the noise, to protect your limited time, and to pour that time into building something that lasts. You will never regret ignoring the distractions, but you will regret the moments you allowed yourself to be consumed by them. The clock does not pause while you argue with critics or dwell on negativity. It keeps ticking, and the more of it you lose, the less you have left to create the life you want. You said, "Give me conclusion of the speech on 200 words," ChatGPT said. Life will never run short of people who criticize, doubt, or try to pull you off balance. But the truth is, they only succeed if you allow them access to your peace, your time, and your focus. You cannot control the noise, but you can control your response. The moment you stop reacting to every insult, every judgment, and every attempt to provoke you, you begin to rise above it all. Protecting your peace is not just about ignoring negativity. It is about choosing to value your energy so much that you refuse to waste it. It is about recognizing that criticism often comes from insecurity, that truly successful people don't waste their time tearing others down, and that silence, calm, and persistence speak louder than any argument ever could. Every second spent being bothered is a second stolen from your own growth, and you cannot afford to give that away. You are here to build, to grow, to thrive, not to defend yourself against voices that do not matter. So stay focused, stay steady, and stay unbothered. Let your life, your resilience, and your success speak for you, because in the end, nothing silences the noise louder than results.